Hi, my name is Dan from DSI Maintenance. I'm just going to take you through a few things to help you open your store. I hope this helps. So what we're going to do first is we're going to turn on the mains cold water. To do that, you'll see a valve subsequently like this. What we're going to do is we're going to turn it into the on position. On is going to be all the way to the left, and you will do this. This way you'll hear a little bit of a movement in the water. Once you've got all the way open, what I want you to do is you need to turn the tap backwards 1/4 turn, and that's the mains on. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to turn the main gas valve onto the store. At the moment, the valve or the isolator valve is a lever version on this one. So it's currently across the direction of this bit of pipework. So what we're going to do is we're going to put it in the direction of the pipework. To do that, we just go straight up. Now that's on. There's usually an indicator saying on or off, but this one is now on because it's in the direction of the pipe. So what we need to do is, for those stores that have got Rapax boilers, we need to turn that on. So the best way to do that, you'll see an isolator or a plug or a switch, and that looks like this. And now that's turned on. What your display will do is it will either go on and say start boost, and if that's the case, you'll simply just press the big button in the center and press OK. It'll say duration of the heating, and that will we'll put it on for 5 days, and that will give the boiler enough time to be able to recuperate its energy it produces from the ambient temperature. And we'll just press that on. And it's actions registered, boost, and back to normal mode in 5 days. On other displays, what you'll see is you'll say the date and time will come into operation. Quite simply, you will change the date by selecting up or down, and it'll say, well, we've got Wednesday set here. We can go into April or May. Once you've selected the date you need, then just press the button. The year, press the button. The time, select your whatever your local time. For our purposes, it's 14 hours. Press the button again and keep going, and it'll say daylight savings time automatic, press yes. And then what it will do is it'll take you back out and it will ask you to do the boost. And as I've just explained, select 5 days and press OK, and then that will recover. With a Rapax boiler, it will probably take around about 3 days to reheat properly. So what I would suggest, if you've got a Berco, just have that set up temporarily and you'll be fine. Those of you with an Alpha Intec 34C may notice that the pressure gauge has dropped to 0 and you're indicating a E10 system pressure error. This is low system pressure, and what we need to do is we need to fill the boiler back up. So we've got to get the needle to the top of the green on the pressure gauge. Now we do that by going underneath the boiler, and what you'll see is you'll see a cold inlet and heating return. There's 2 black valves there. So what we need to do is we're going to need to turn on the left hand side valve. This is where the mains cold water is. Then what we need to do is we need to go to the right hand side valve, and we need to open that up very slowly. But whilst we're doing that, we need to be monitoring the pressure gauge, and that will start to rise.
A few moments later.
Once it's got to the top of the green, just like this, what we need to do is turn the right valve off, and then we need to turn the left valve off. We'll then go back to the digital display, and you'll be finding that you'll be reading a temperature. If it flashes E1, press the reset button. This will clear that error, and your pressure gauge just needs to be checked. If it does drop, repeat the process. For those of you that have got an E-Tech Plus 33, you may find you've got an E10 error code and the pressure gauge is to 0. What we've got to do is we've got to repressurize the boiler to clear the E10 error code. We do that by going to the 2 brass manifolds with the black turny knobs on the bottom. One on the left and one on the right hand side. What we're going to do is we're going to turn the left hand manifold approximately 18 turns. This will allow the mains cold water to be available to repressurize the boiler. Once we've done that, then we'll go to the right hand side and we'll undo that slowly, but what we're going to do is control the way the water enters the boiler by monitoring the pressure gauge. This will slowly rise and we want it to be about the top of the green. Once this has got to the top of the green, then we need to stop by turning the right valve off. Once this is fully closed, then we'll be going to the left hand valve and fully closing that one as well. Once this is fully closed, then we can inspect the front of the boiler. What we'll find is that the E10 error code has cleared and you'll be displaying the temperature. You can also just check the pressure gauge again, and that should be still at the top of the green. If this has not happened and the pressure gauge does drop, what we need to do is we need to repeat the process again by getting the needle to the top of the green. For those of you with Megaflow boilers, trace the wire connected to the grey or white cap and switch the switch on. Okay, so we're going to need to turn the water softener on next. In order to do that, there are 3 valves. In the last previous video, we had to turn all the valves to the off position. On this occasion, we have to turn everything back on again. So that's process in reverse. For those of you that haven't watched that video, I'm just going to take you through the isolation valves and the configuration of how we need to do that. So at the moment, all 3 valves are in the off position. We've got the left main incoming water, we have the right outgoing water, and then we have the main store bypass valve. For stores that are a little bit older, these valves can look like the one at the top, or they can look with like a lever. What we need to do is turn the lever isolator valves on the main incoming and the outgoing of this cylinder to the on position. And what we do is we do that by making sure that the valves are on in the direction of the pipe. If they're in the direction, they're on. We also need to make sure that the main store bypass is actually in the off position, so that would be to the right hand side. This one is already off and that's how it's meant to be. If you find it's open, then you need to close that. What we also need to do, in the eventuality that your softener is broken, you may have an old Culligan softener where you fill the salt up. That might not be working. So what we need to do with that is we need to make sure that these 2 valves are shut, and that would be across the pipe. Or if you've got a traditional valve, turn it to the right and that will be tight. But the store bypass valve will need to be left and loose. And that will allow water to flow to the rest of the store. If you're a little bit confused by that, what you can do is you can call your maintenance company or your surveyor and they'll explain how to do it. Alternatively, you can email reactive@dsimaintenance.co.uk and we'll call you back and just run through it with you. So the next thing we need to do is turn on the secondary return pump, and in order to do that we need to identify it, and we usually say Grundfos. This is the pump here, and it'll be yellow, red, black or green in colour, usually indicated by a little silver part about the size of a 2p piece with a slot inside it. So we're just going to follow the wire that comes out of it. It should be white in colour, could be black. And then it should go down to a digital display like this. There's your digital display. What we need to do is follow the wire that comes out of it, and this one's connected to the circulation pump. What we'll do is we'll turn it on, the digital display will go on live. And what we'll do is we'll look at the pump again. We'll just feel the pump and that should be vibrating. and that's now on. This is a deck mixer tap. It's both mixed hot and cold, and in order to make sure the boiler temperature is okay, we need to be able to turn these on. However, the store hasn't been active for a whole complete month. What we need to take care of is we need to take care of any aerosol spray coming from the nozzle, because that could propose a Legionella risk. The easiest way to do this is place a glove or some sort of plastic container over it and seal it up. You'll see how I'm doing this. And then simply just turn on the hot tap. The best indicator is when the hot tap is full, it's pulled all the water through that part of the pipework. And what we can do is turn that off and just leave that open. That means we're no aerosol spray. And we can do that several times. We can also do that with the cold water as well. We'll just let the glove fill up. That's all the stagnated water out in this part, or what we call the leg. The legs are usually around about 2 meters in length. So if we do that a few times, and we don't have to worry about the water itself, it's just the aerosol or the initial release from the top of the faucet itself. So that's it. And you need to do that on all the hand wash basins, or main sinks. One of the main risks in the store is Legionella. The spray hose is probably one of the most prominent parts of that risk. So what we're going to do is we want to avoid using the spray hose over until we've got initially rid of the water from the leg of the pipework. In this case, it's about 2 meters long. So what we need to do is just place a glove over the top. And what we'll do is hold it tight, and then that's the initial spray. And what we'll do is we're just going to allow the glove to fill up at 1 or 2 times. So what we'll do is there, and we're very carefully just let the water flow out, and we do that a few times. You can also wear a mask doing this as well. However, this is sufficient to remove that risk of that stagnating water or any possible aerosol. And I'm quite happy with that. So we're in the main mop sink. As you can see, there is a dedicated hot tap and a dedicated cold tap. In order to get the store's temperature, these are probably the best taps you can get. They're not mixed together. So you can run the hot tap and test probe this, usually put it into a container, and then test probe the container temperature. You want this tap to be about 48 degrees. 46 to 50 is acceptable. If you're finding it's hotter than that, that's fine, but obviously always wear the appropriate PPE. With regards to the cold tap, this temperature should be no more than 21 degrees. So the next thing you're going to check is your primary safety systems. So that will be your fire alarm system test, and then you'll do your emergency lighting test. What it is worth noting is that the green charge lights constantly indicated. This will make sure that they're charging. If you went to test your emergency lights straight away after them being off for an extended period of time, the batteries would not have charged. So we always recommend that you do this 4, 5 or 6 hours off the following day. In order to turn the oven power supplies on, if you have a rotary isolator like this, just turn it to the marked on position. Next thing you need to do is turn your gas supply on. The lever will be across the pipe, and what we need to do is turn that so it's in the direction of the pipe. So we've got self-service drinks, ice dispensers and drinks towers. These obviously have been sitting for a while, so it's really important. We need a hot soapy water, and what you need to do is you'll need to place at least a bucket to a bucket and a half through the pipework to enable that to soften. Now you might find essentially the first couple of times that nothing will go down. With it being a hotter temperature, you'll just need to allow this to remain in the tray until the water does eventually start to happen. So just take a container, it needs to be hot soapy water, and fill these up. If this fails to clear any blockages, you'll need to phone up the help desk or talk to your local surveyor. So we need to be able to ensure that the grease guzzler is working. Because it's stood long, you'll need to empty compartment trays and also the main containers. You may find that your sink's blocked. So the best thing is to spray the sink. If that fails, you'll need to get a plunger and you'll need to plunge the faucet. And this is, oh, right, that is great. Have a quick look. And we seem to have unblocked it. So we just watch that now. Yep, and that's now running clear.